Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Hebrews
with Dan Irvin.
Well, as we have reached the 12th chapter of Hebrews, if you've been following along 5 Good Minutes podcast, this is a pivotal chapter, a climactic chapter in many ways of the book of Hebrews. The author has set the stage for this moment and really pointing the readers, the hearers of this letter in a direction of so what? Now that we know what we know about Jesus, now that we know that there have been others before us, that now Jesus has gone ahead and said, I am the fulfillment of all of these heroes of the faith. So what? How can we live now that we know this? And the Hebrews 12, 1 through 2 say it in this way. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, those that have gone before, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. These two verses set the stage for the entire chapter, 12th chapter of Hebrews. As we read these two verses and think about all the a couple different illustrations in here, there's the running the race picture that the author paints. And if you've ever run a race, you know that it requires more than just strength, but it requires preparing and having the right shoes and having the right equipment so that nothing can slow you down, shedding anything that might slow you down. There's the distinction here. The author says everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. So it's not just our sin that can take us away, that can slow us down from running this race with Jesus. Yes, there, of course, sin is part of it. But Hebrews also gets at something, this idea that other things that hinder us, they may not be sinful in themselves, but they might weigh us down. Just imagine if you're trying to run a race with a backpack full of books on your back. And maybe these books are important books, valuable books that have meant a lot to you maybe in your life, and they carry some meaning for you. But you wouldn't want to wear a backpack with books when you run a race. They would slow you down. In a similar way, in our life, there can be hobbies, there can be relationships, career ambitions, good things. Some of these good things, in a lot of ways, that can become hindrances if they take too much of us, of our heart, and they distract us, and we carry them with us as we run with Jesus. We think, if I don't get these things lined up or in line or taken care of, then I really can't follow Jesus because I need these things to line up. Well, what has happened is those things have essentially become hindrances, distractions, or maybe even idols that you're worshiping or putting ahead of Jesus. They were probably never meant to take up a place in your heart that they're taking up in this moment. Only Jesus was meant to take up that place. So while they may not be sinful, the important question is, do they help you run? Do they help you run the race with Jesus in a way where you're growing closer to him in faith and community? And community too, these verses point this out, that we're not running alone. We're surrounded by the great cloud of witnesses that have gone before us, the Old Testament heroes that we're pointed to. But most of all, we're also running with a great cloud of witnesses in the present day around us. Men and women that we know in the church, our friends of ours that maybe we know in the church, that we're connected with in community. These are the people that will help us go, that will help us run the race. I love the race picture because I've been a part of a few of these races and cheered people on at marathons. The community support is incredible. Strangers cheering on strangers to run a race, to reach a goal, to finish strong. This is a beautiful picture of what the church can be. A group of people coming together cheering each other on, saying, hey, I know it's going to be tough. I know there'll be moments when we'll feel like, what is the point? We're fighting an uphill battle. But we can show up for each other and we can carry each other's burdens so that we can run free, knowing that Jesus endured the cross. He is at the finish line. He is the author and perfecter of our faith, and he is the one that is ultimately pushing us forward in ultimate victory. That is the hope of Hebrews chapter 12, as we'll look at it for the rest of this week.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.